Hi everybody. I'm very happy to finally be here in StahlstadtJS somehow. Even it's called StahlstadtJS and it's Midlos in Austria. I get to found about the StahlstadtJS in Freiburg in Germany, and I tried to be once here, but it didn't happen. So now we are going to talk, and I'm really happy to talk here. I'm going to talk about animations, and this talk is somehow really long. I already had it once time, 1 hour long, and after this talk we should eat something, so if I'm too long, just wave or something and I will make it somehow faster. So just we will just very fast to skip it, but yeah, I'm big Star Wars fans, and I'm already probably something as a speaker and alien, a freelancer in night. I was also organizing a lot of meetups. Now I'm changing city, so I'm not exactly organizer. I'm always talking about the Storyblok, Vue.js and Next.js. And that's fast about me. If you want to ask me anything, basically you can ask me on the Twitter and etc. I'm usually answering also on the direct messages, etc. So I'm talking about the animations, and I don't think so that we should have a lot of slides about the animations because the animations are about the illustrations and about the moving stuff. So I'm going to show you two samples or two demos. The first one is the website I created probably already like 4.5 years ago, and this website was created without any framework or real framework, so no Angular, no React, no Vue.js. And of course, the designer wanted to have like seamless, nice, small, smooth animation on the website. So if you like click on the next page, there are like no big jumps between the pages. Everything is a little bit randomized. And if you go to the website of the detail of the project, then basically there's something like the feeling of the movie, and there is no descriptions. This is a very simple page, and this is only the sample I want to show you. And the point why I'm showing you is like this is basically only images and some layouts, and then the transition between the pages. But at the end, together with the designer, we spent only I, as a developer, spent on this page around 170 hours, which is a lot of hours. And at the end, basically it was my first freelance project, and I shouldn't tell it, but it was like a fixed number of 100. I get like 2,000 euros for that. So you can calculate it. It's something like 10 euros an hour. So it's not very good stuff. So, but it's very nice to show, like for the meetups. But today I'm going to talk about this project, which is the project from last year. I created for the Adobe, not Adobe, for Süddeutsche Zeitung brand studio, and the page is a marketing page or advertorial for the Adobe fonts, Bauhaus fonts. And basically this is the storytelling page which you can scroll, and you can see as the animation are basically animating, and if you are reading the text, you can check the animations, and everything is connected, and then you can have a really nice experience from the reading. If you're going down, then there is some widgets which make you like which makes you interact with the page, and you can play with it. The point is like how much time do we need to create something like this, and how we should do it really fast, because we don't have like a never-ending budget, and of course usually we don't have a lot of time for this. So basically I had for this page from beginning to end like 3 weeks or 3.5 weeks, and basically it was like without any design. So basically in the first week we still have to like discuss with the designer how and what we will be doing, how we are going to do it, how we are going to animate it. At the end we created this page, and this page basically was development time around like 65 hours, which is I think amazing. And this you can achieve only because the tools like, and now coming to tech stack, like CSS3 animations and transitions, of course. That's like how the pixel is made here down here, and some of the few text coming to the fading of the text into the screen. But this is still not answering the question how are made this big animation here. So to create this animation only with the code would take a real lot of time. But we have happily Vue.js and Next.js or React or Angular, the principle is the same. But you can use the logic of these new frameworks, and this make it very easy. And after that, we have something called After Effects. And probably nobody of you can use After Effects if you are not designers or a hobby designer or something like that. But in After Effects is used by designers to create the animations, which they basically export and show us as a movies or something, and we are trying to recreate it in the code. But there is a tool called, or plugin for the After Effects called Body Moving, which basically you can install in After Effects, and then after using this plugin, you can export your animation as a JSON file. And this JSON file is then directly used in the code, and I will show you how it is used. And it is used by the library called Lottie, and this library was created by the guys from the Airbnb, and this is pretty crazy stuff. So if you never heard about it, then this is what I am going to talk today about mainly. And if you join it, the power of the Vue.js or Next.js together with the Lottie, you can create crazy stuff very easily and very fast. So this is the page where you should go if you want to try it or show it to your designer friend. And basically at the end, you just have these 3 steps, which is all you need to know, or which is all the designer need to know. You can use it in vanilla JavaScript, with Angular, with React, with iOS, with Android, with React Native, or anything of this. So what's the next? And of course, after all of that, you will need to have also math. You will have to try and adjust positioning on all that stuff. It's always there, and you have to calculate on which frame and how fast you want to do something, etc. Showtime. So how to do it? And first of all, I maybe should show you what we are exporting from the After Effects. So for that, I have basically here 2 things. The first is that you are exporting a JSON file, and I can show you that the JSON files are pretty big, and you cannot do nothing with it. So this is one of the JSON files, which is basically, in this case, it's the hero desktop JSON file, and I cannot read it. And this is, if I go to localhost, this is this animation. Of course, that was a big JSON file. Probably we can do it even better if we really look on it, because it's only text, and at the end we could basically maybe gzip it or like remove few stuff as this. But we don't talk about this now. Sorry. The nice thing about the body moving is that it doesn't export only the JSON file. What you can see here, it also exports the demo HTML. So if you open demo HTML and you are a designer, you can check your animation already if it's working. And this is the animation I worked for another page for Brand Studio. But basically, you can see like, okay, is it working? Do I want it bigger or not? Because there are some restrictions. Of course, you cannot use the gradients because the SVG are not exactly good working with a gradient. So this is an exception. But you can achieve a lot of stuff. But sometimes are happening like small mistakes, like you are missing somewhere like background color or something like that, and you don't see it in your After Effects. Okay, now let's jump into the code. First, I have to explain you that how many of you work with Vue.js or React or something like that? Okay, cool. So don't judge my code. So first of all, I do only one pager. I build it in Next.js, I know, but I like Next.js. So the first, the hero area is built as a component, of course, hero area, and I need a window width there. So what is the hero area? The hero area is basically some template, and it's using the Lottie component. And this Lottie component is another component. So what is the Lottie component? And this is where is the magic happening. So Lottie component is very simple. Basically, it's only one div, which will be replaced by the rendered SVG. So in this case, there will be applied style, and I have a like low container or any other name, doesn't matter. Then I'm importing the Lottie web library, which you can install using the npm. You can find it on the GitHub, and you can use it also with vanilla JavaScript at the end. Okay, Then I have some basic styles, nothing important, but basically I'm saying like I need some object to load the animation. So I need JSON's data to load something. And what I'm doing with this data is basically that in mounted event, I'm loading the animation. So in this case, I am saying like, okay, load the animations. So I'm saying in which container it will be loaded, and this container will be replaced. Then in DOM, you will see only the SVG. And then what the render method you can use, I think there's other method. I'd never see that anybody use that. Maybe it's more for iOS or something like that. Then you can set up something like loop, autoplay. You don't need it. In my case, I set up it here because I was using it like in few cases that I said like, okay, let's loop it and autoplay it. And then, of course, you can need to send the JSON data. After all of that, I am emitting basically the handler for the animation, which then I can use in the other components and change like the speed of the animation, jump into different frames. And that's basically what maybe I should also show. And that's on the GitHub, if you go for LotiWeb, just that you understand. It's very easy. Basically, you get a few basic functions. If I go here down, then it's like get speed, set location, or go to and stop. So basically, you have like 7 to 8 functions which you can use. But using these functions, you can basically achieve all the animations I showed you. Okay, so I explained Loti component. Now I have the hero area. So in our case, the hero area is this most simple component here. And I'm doing nothing else as I'm sending an object, which content of this object is like, will be it looping, is it autoplaying, and the JSON file. So let's check this object. This object, in my case, as I explained, is set as autoplay true, a loop false, and then I am saying also something like animation data is the hero desktop animation. So what is this? And there's nothing else as basically in the next I'm importing the JSON file directly in the JavaScript as a variable which I can then use on the client side from the assets folder where I have all the animations. I think I had to a little bit adjust the Webpack that he can accept the JSON file. That's all, nothing complicated. Then, of course, I do a little bit styling using CSS. It's a styling of the SVG, so it works all the tricks and problems from normal SVGs. And then I have the handler for the animation, which is also a function or method. And if you look here, then basically in this case, I set a little bit faster speed for this animation because the customer said that it's too slow. And I didn't have to ask the designer directly to change the speed. I just changed the speed in code. And this you can also do with some logic steps. So in this case, let's change it to 2 and prove that it's really working. So if I reload it, then you can see it very fast. And that's it. That's the most simple animation here. But this is exactly, as I said, the most simple animation. So let's look on something more complicated. And if I go back to my presentation, there was the hero animation, and then I like for the presentation the pizza animation because there I can show you the power of the Vue.js in the combination with the Loti and what is exactly happening. So the pizza animation is little bit on the bottom, and this is here is the pizza animation. So this is the animation which opens on the scroll event, and basically if you scroll back, then it's close and then scroll away. And now it's opening, and if I do it faster, then it's fast, etc. So how to do something like this? It should be pretty easy, and with Vue.js it's really fast and simple. If I jump to the pizza section, then I need 2 things for this. I need to know the height of my window, so basically the screen, and then I need to know like how much pixels did I scroll from the top of the screen, of course. And this is something basically a method which is on the create event, if I am correct. Here is the method handle scroll, which is always updating the scrolling as I'm scrolling. But in the pizza section, I'm doing pretty more or less the same thing I did already and showed you for the desktop. It is a little bit more complicated, and I'm using some parts of the Vue.js which we can use as we are using Vue. So basically there is a logic component, and as you can see, there is a pizza option, which is saying like I'm not going to loop, I'm not going to autoplay, I am sending the JSON file. And then I have the handler. The handler is doing nothing else. Oh, sorry. I have to jump to the methods. So that is basically setting that this anim pizza will be my animation object from here. And then I can use this dot anim pizza as a handler in other functions, which I will need. So, but what's happening on the screen? So on the screen is happening that at first we are going to, the pizza is coming to screen, but it's not open. It's just coming. And there is a point where it starts opening and then close. So at first we have to find out that pizza is on the screen, and of course we have to also define where we will start animation and where we will stop the animation. So for that I have this, I forgot how it's called in Vue. It's not the props. Sorry. Directive, thank you. A little bit louder, I'm deaf. But that's exactly. So I have the directive. This is basically, you can, it's an NPM package, of course. And then I have here this method, which is checking if the animation is already on the screen. So in this case, I am checking if the animation is on the screen, if it's entering, and if it's entering, then I'm checking, then I'm saying that the classes are visible, that is nicely faded into the screen. And then I'm calculating according to the actual position, the start position, which is basically in my case like 20% from the bottom of the screen. And then I am calculating how long will be the animation. So how many pixels? Basically you can imagine that okay, on the 20% of the screen I start animate, and then I will be animating the whole animation on 90% of the height of the screen. This is the line here. So it will be a little bit longer. Basically, is the height of the screen because we started on 20%. And then we have to find out what is the duration of the whole animation in our case. And then I say, look, okay, we are animating, but we are still not animating. So what we need is probably that some of you already know, and this is the watch. And watch. I have a watch function, of course, in this component, which is doing nothing else as checking if we are scrolling. And if we are scrolling and we are getting the new pixels, so we are like moving up or down, then I'm triggering the function, which is called the animate pizza on the scroll. And this function is using the handler of the animation. And of course, there is some conditions. The conditions are, in my case, at first, are we on the screen? Are we animating? Are we showing the animation? If yes, then we are going to calculate some percentage. This magic number basically is like, okay, I know that I started already the animation, and after the start I moved like 20 pixels. And this 20 pixels are equal to 10% of the time of the animation. So I will jump to the frame number 20 maybe from the animation. So this percentage basically calculates, okay, basically calculates if we are still between the 0 and the 100% of the duration of animation. Now getting a little bit complicated, but if we are under the 0, then we stay on the first frame, and if we get over the 100%, then we will stay on the last frame, of course. And if we are somewhere between, then what I'm going to do is that I said that go to and no, sorry. This is, I think it's here. Yeah, sorry, this else if. Then I'm going to frame go to and stop and be on the time. So in my case, I know that the animation was like 10 seconds. I'm going to animate this 10 seconds on the 900 pixels. And now I move to 100 pixels. Okay, that's 1 second, so jump to 1 second. So if you fast very fast, we will going to do a bigger jumps. If we're very slow, then the jumps will be smaller. And you can do it with frames, time, etc. Okay, probably will get, you already got the idea. And that was, I think, easy. Then there was one more trick I wanted to show always, and usually showing, and if I have a time, is that this is the head. And the head is something a little bit special, even more special as the pizza animation. And this is something which consists of 3 animation, so or 3 Lottie files, because it's the brain, then is the whole head, and also the text here. As first, I didn't include 5 or 6 different font families. I just created this as the Lottie file, and then it's the one JSON file and SVG, and it's much smaller as to include the font files. The second thing is also the same thing happening here, and I can animate it. And after all of that, as you can see on the side, probably, I'm scrolling. So in this case, I'm still scrolling, but the screen is kind of freezed. For this, in Vue.js, you can use a view affix. It's a little bit tricky, it can be complicated, but in principle, what's happening is that in the moment as the head is started to animate it and freezed, then there is a bigger wrapper. Should I stop? It's a little bit, the wrapper is like calculated with few functions, how big it should be according to the height of the screen and how long it should be animate. And now I'm basically position fix the head with all the animation and also this one paragraph of the text, and it looks like that is freezed, but in behind the whole page is still scrolling down or up, or how you call it. And as the end or the bottom of this wrapper of this whole section will reach the bottom of the animation or of the paragraph, then it will like just attach it to the bottom. For that is this view affix, which is also I think it's directive, which you can, no, that's a component you can download from NPM and then use. Okay, cool. I mean, like if you want to show a code, see a code of that, then I can show it after the talk. It's a little bit complicated, and I'm sometimes also confused by it. And the last thing I was showing here, basically, and a lot of people like, is the backsasso. I mean, if you know the CSS and the Vue.js, then you can do it alone very, very fast. And this is only the CSS animation. This backsasso is not so easy, but if I find a match, this verb B, yeah. So if to be, you can do this, only CSS. Really, come on. Please use CSS. You can use CSS for very nice animations, transitions, and all that stuff, and you don't have to make it complicated. The view check view is basically the directive you can use for checking if you are on the screen, and that's it. And the last thing I want to talk about is Lottie. And why is it that as I find out about Lottie like 1 year and a half ago probably, I felt like how it's possible that nobody is talking about. Come on, it's so cool. It's basically we just bridge the gap between the designer and the developer. I'm using directly something which designer exported in my code. I'm not doing nothing else. I'm writing only in the logic, and basically I can tell him do this, and he exports this SVG, which is even SVG. You know, that's the good part. This is the best thing you can use. And then there was like use cases in my old company, as for example, we did teaser videos for meetups or conferences. You know, that videos where different geometrical parts are moving, like triangles are building, and there is text. And usually, if you want to put somewhere this teaser, then you have to export it, then you have to do HD, then you have to upload it to the YouTube, and after the upload on the YouTube, you have to like somewhere post it, then you have a mobile devices, and the mobile devices prevent to autoplay, and it's so much, you know what I want to say. And then I asked the designer the same thing, like, please export it with the body moving. So they exported the same video with the body moving, which was basically created in After Effects. And after that, the video was like 250 kilobytes, and it was responsive. It was SVG, so it was always like as sharp as possible. And it was working in Internet Explorer 9, I think, if I'm correct. So come on, I mean, my page is not working in EN9 because of the Vue.js part, but still, like, this is super crazy. And then, of course, you can, blow your mind with totally different crazy ideas, like why we don't create a icon font in different frames that every frame is one icon, or even animate the icons, or do more things and much more crazy stuff. I mean, like there are open few stuff, like you can create a game. You know, like you could just ask a designer, make a walking guy, left, right, jump, and then you use a Vue.js, and then you have a one frame which is like moving in loop, and if you press the button left, then you will switch it, then you go left, and you know, that's the Super Mario basically, what I just described. So, if you want to take something from my presentation, you can forget everything you saw and just copy this link, and that's all. The most important, because if you are, like, I guess you are all developers and you can figure it out. I mean, I can give you also my code. I would don't present that code because it's not, and I guess you can write it better. So really, this is the most important part. And that's it. Thank you very much, and I hope you will use it maybe tomorrow, as is the first working day. So create something nice. Thank you very much.